Canada Day out there, and welcome to another episode of Frightfully Forgotten Horror Movies. Today we're going to do a little something different for Canada Day. We are going to list top 10 Canadian horror movies that we think you should maybe check out during Canada Day, on Canada Day, maybe the whole week. We're not ranking these movies. These are all random. We're just going to list some of them.
First one, and I think that this is the only one that's really purposely in a certain spot on the list, and that's Black Christmas. And it kind of has to be number one on the list because it really set the level for the slasher films. It came out in 1974, and it stars the late, great Margot Kidder, and also Andrea Martin, who was in SCTV.
John Saxon is in this movie, too.
Oh, that's right, yeah, John Saxon is in it.
Yeah, Canada's Burt Reynolds, kind of, of the 70s.
It's a slasher stalker type film with a crazy guy calling and harassing sorority girls in the sorority house. It became the template and the inspiration for like every slasher film to follow.
Exactly.
The Halloween is very inspired by Black Christmas, and so are countless slashers. So that kind of has to be number one on the list, and the rest are just going to be random.
Smoke-filled coffee house crap. The next one we're going to mention is 1980's Prom Night. It stars Jamie Lee Curtis, Leslie Nielsen, and Jeff Wincott is in it. One of my favorite 80s Canadian cop dramas, Night Heat. This one plays out almost like a typical slasher movie. But the thing is, there's fantastic character development.
Probably more so than most slasher movies.
Which is a great hallmark of this movie. This is one of the biggest things that you remember. The kills are fantastic. And there's disco music. And
there's a big disco scene, a big disco dance scene.
Dun, 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 dun. And Jamie Lee Curtis breaks out her disco moves.
Yeah, she tears the rug up pretty good.
Yeah, she nails it.
Another neat thing about this movie, too, which is a bit different from a lot of slashers, is you sympathize with the killer at the end.
Yeah.
Prom Night's a very slow burn movie, so you have to wait for the payoff. Second installment of like 3 slashers that Jamie Lee Curtis did in a row. You know, Halloween, Prom Night, and then Terror Train, which is like half Canadian.
And half American.
Yeah, so maybe that's like an honorable mention, is Terror Train was the next movie that Jamie Lee Curtis did, which was like a co-production between Canada and America. It was shot in Montreal, Canada. And that's a very good movie. I love the atmosphere of Terror Train.
Yeah. I love when David Copperfield gets all skewered up.
Yeah. The next movie on our list is Rituals. It came out in 1977. It is a very good movie. If you like Deliverance, this is basically a Canadian horror version of Deliverance. A bunch of doctors go on a trip to the woods, canoeing down this creek or whatever, and they start getting terrorized and picked off by somebody. The tension building is amazing. What they go through is almost worse than Deliverance.
Yeah.
The acting is great and the character building is good. The cinematography and the locations is just beautiful, stunning. The contradiction, like such a beautiful setting, but then these guys are going through this awful shit, right? There's not many effects in the movie, but where there are effects are good, like the head.
Yeah, when he throws the head off the cliff.
Yeah. There's a scene where a guy gets burned alive. It's very effective.
Very good.
Kind of funny. I got a good kick out of it. Check out Rituals if you're a fan of Deliverance and even like Just Before Dawn.
The next one we're going to bring to you is 1987's The Gate. Now, what kid from the 80s, early 90s does not remember The Gate? This one is about, a couple of kids. One kid has a heavy metal record. He plays it backwards, and there's a subliminal message when you play it backwards, and it raises these little minion devil things from the ground. These kids have to fight them off and close the gate. So this movie's fantastic for the effects, right? Little claymation, stop motion, little minion things,
Yeah.
And it's great.
So if you're a fan of like any of those like old Ray Harryhausen movies with the stop motion animation, well, you gotta check out The Gate. Critters, even Gremlins, if you like those movies, you gotta check out The Gate if you haven't seen it. Next on our list is 1979's The Brood by the master himself, David Cronenberg.
The Canadian master,
It's the one Cronenberg movie we had to put on the list. The Brood is an amazing, weird weird, wonderful movie. It's about a bunch of murders happening. They're being conducted by these weird, deformed children, which are like the offspring of a weird psychological experiment being done by this psychologist. Of all the movies on this list that we're listing today, it's the most original plot of them all. The acting is so good in this.
Now, Oliver Reed is in this, and he's fantastic.
The effects are really good.
The kills are great.
Great kills. The Brood are some creepy little fucking things.
They look like Teletubbies, actually.
They kind of do look like Teletubbies.
Little bastards.
Teletubbies are scary.
Yeah, I know. Fantastic twist at the end, which you won't see coming.
Anything to do with killer children, you have to check out The Brood.
These next 5 that we're going to mention are movies that we've already reviewed, or they're up and coming. So you got to stay tuned to watch what they're going to be.
Very up and coming, like within the next 2 weeks up and coming.
In 1988's Pin. This one is about a medical dummy which a child kind of befriends, and it sort of becomes real through this child.
It's one of the best Canadian horror thrillers, I think.
It's a psychological suspense thriller / horror.
Yeah.
It kind of covers a lot of bases.
And being a straight-to-video movie, it's very good.
Yeah.
Like, the quality of the movie is outstanding for, straight-to-video, because a lot of those are just...
Oh, yeah.
Next is 1997's Cube, which is probably one of the best sci-fi horror movies that come out of Canada ever.
Exactly.
It is basically about a group of people stuck in a giant cube, which consists of several cube rooms, and they have to get out.
Yeah.
And they don't know why they're there or even how to get out. Great, great movie. And that one's coming right away.
Yeah. The next one, which we had already covered way back, 1980's Changeling. And it's an investigation of a murder that happened in a house.
But it's a haunting movie. Can't recommend Changeling enough. It's so fucking good. It is one of the best haunting movies, I think, of all time. Next is one of the best slashers that come out of Canada ever, and that's My Bloody Valentine.
Yeah, 1981.
Yeah, you have to watch the uncut version of this movie, because the cut version has all the good kills cut right out. It's about a small town mining community that has a bloody history that basically comes back to haunt them on Valentine's Day. Very relatable characters. You really get to know them. But the big thing about this movie is the kills are amazing.
Another thing that sets this movie apart is the setting. What other movie takes place in a mine? It's deadly on its own, right?
Yeah, that's true.
These people have to contend with the mine as well as the killer.
Yeah.
The next one, and the last one, sadly, is American Gothic. Now, this one is about a group of friends that take a trip, and the plane kind of starts to break down. They gotta land, and they land on this island. They come upon this house that looks abandoned at first. This weird family kind of comes in. They start to pick these people off one by one. And the family gets more and more bizarre the deeper you get into this movie.
And it stars, the great Rod Steigers in this.
Oh, Lord!
And his performance in this movie is fucking amazing.
Oh, yeah.
You can tell that he takes every role he does and just internalizes it and does the best he can, even if it's some shitty Canadian horror slasher on a low budget, on some weird island in Vancouver or wherever it's shot. He still put everything into that role.
And it shows, too, right? Reminiscent of Texas Chainsaw Massacre a little bit. Yeah. Maybe tad Deliverance.
If you like Texas Chainsaw, you have to check out.
Oh, I think so.
American Gothic, for sure. So, there we go. That's our top 10 Canadian horror movies as it stands today. Happy Canada Day. We're going to be drinking up a storm and barbecuing some burgers. So, you guys do the same.
Happy Canada Con Day.